think we'll go ahead and get started. Good morning. Welcome to the 2026 Kidron Bethel Village Emergency Operations and Severe Weather Training for March. Please make sure that you picked up a quiz from the back and put your name on it, your own name. If you put a pseudonym in your quiz, then you will be assigned this course in Relias, and I know how exciting that is for you, but make sure that you put your name on the quiz and fill it and turn it back in at the table, and leave the pins when you go, please. So the emergency preparedness rule was created by CMS after 9/11 and Hurricanes Katrina and Harvey. There was emergency responses and preparedness were overhauled. The goal was to reduce nursing home and hospital failures where residents were left alone without food, water, or climate controls. This regulation aims to standardize emergency preparedness across the country to prevent future tragedies. Our emergency procedures were rewritten in 2017 to comply. The purpose of the emergency preparedness rule is to establish national emergency preparedness requirements to ensure adequate planning for both natural and man-made disasters in coordination with federal, state, regional, and local emergency preparedness systems. Each facility is required to develop their own emergency operations plan. The plan is required to use the all hazards approach with the idea of maintaining a safe and secure environment for residents, staff, and visitors. It also outlines contingency plans to restore any interruptions in our usual service and business functions. Our emergency operation plan seeks to provide guidance for any event that disrupts our normal standard of care. The plan is annually evaluated by the Safety Committee and updated as needed throughout the year. It is important the plan is followed during incidents so that any shortcomings can be corrected and not repeated the next incident. I normally ask at the end of different incidents that we've had staff to see how things went, if there's anything that went wrong or that we need to improve on, and then create what's called an after-action report. Kidron Bethel Village collaborates with Harvey County Emergency Management to identify needed resources in a time of crisis. Harvey County Emergency Management occasionally helps plan or participate in the annual CMS exercise requirements. Kidron Bethel Village is required to have 2 exercises yearly to test the emergency operations plan. One test needs to be a full-scale exercise that's collaborative, and the other could be a tabletop exercise. The collaborative exercise would be with some either Newton Fire or North Newton PD is normally who we collaborate with. Organizational key is the key to successful outcomes of any incident. Kidron Bethel Village has chosen the Nursing Home Incident Command System to be used as the management structure to guide every incident on campus. The charge nurse for most situations is assumed to be the initial incident commander. The emergency operations plan has guidance and resources to assist in initial decision-making to help manage the incident. The organizational structure aligns with the Harvey County Emergency Management and Newton Fire EMS command structure. The Nursing Home Incident Command System has identified 5 functions that must be addressed during an incident for a successful outcome. They have been called the Incident Commander, Operations, Planning, Logistics, and finance administration. Every incident will require an incident commander. This individual activates the emergency operations plan. They are responsible to ensure that objectives are established and met to keep residents and staff safe. They are also responsible for determining the size of the incident management team and assigning those roles to staff. They also will coordinate with outside emergency agencies if they respond to assist. The decision to add additional roles by the incident commander are influenced by several factors. What kind of incident is it, and what impact is it currently having for the safety and staff of residents? How much time do you have to make decisions? If a severe thunderstorm watch is issued, you normally have several hours to prepare, so the incident commander could easily manage the situation. However, in the event the building sustains physical damage from a storm, there would be too many decisions needing to be made simultaneously for one person to manage. A good rule of thumb is to add additional staff to the management team so that you don't manage more than about 5 people. As time goes by, the incident commander may need to appoint additional help to the command staff. The Public Information Officer will oversee communication with external partners, families, and staff. Our Safety Officer will evaluate the safety of all residents, visitors, and staff while identifying current and future risks to the facility. The Medical Director will be evaluating the medical needs of residents and injured staff. If there's a large-scale incident, EMS and fire may not be available for immediate assistance. In addition to the command staff are general staff members. General staff members include the operations, planning, logistics, and administration section chiefs. These individuals implement the objectives identified by the incident commander and or command staff. Preference would be given to assign staff to roles in areas that they normally work. The operations section are the doers of actions. These are separated into 2 additional functions. The nursing staff would normally be tasked with items pertaining to resident services, and the other tasks that need to be done in the facility would fall into the infrastructure category. Dining services, maintenance, and housekeeping would be the first choice for these roles. The planning section collects data and maintains accurate records. This is a critical role that assists the incident commander with information to be able to make decisions. The logistics section works to acquire additional staff, supplies, and locations to allow the operations section to function. And the administrative staff supports the operation with financing, payroll, and other clerical tasks. If an incident goes on for several days or weeks, the command structure may branch out and look like this. Accurate record keeping is vital for a successful outcome, as many staff will come and go throughout the incident. A written record will help document why decisions were made, objections that were trying to be met, and the current needs. The incident commander and command staff look at these 6 items for incident planning. You have to know the facility's policies, assessment of the situation, establish clear objectives, have strategies to achieve the objectives, and ensure that tactical decisions are being followed, and make sure that the necessary backup is in place once the plan is initiated. It is important the incident commander work with the section chiefs to provide clear approaches and objectives that need to be carried out. Specific tasks should be assigned to individuals who can then report back when finished, or if they can't complete their tasks. This allows everyone to work together for the common goal. This week, the state of Kansas and the National Weather Service has designated March as the Severe Weather Awareness Week. We'll be participating in the statewide drill yesterday at 10 a.m. In the state of Kansas, there are 7 National Weather Services offices. Harvey County is monitored by the Wichita office 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and 365 days a year. Last year, there were 30 tornadoes in Kansas. The strongest was an EF3. Most of the tornadoes occurred around the month of May, which is normal for most years. We experienced an unusually quiet year for tornadoes in 2025, with only 30 tornadoes. There was a sharp decrease from the 76 tornadoes that happened in 2024. However, if we look previous to that, in 2023, there was 44. In 2022, there was 56. But in 2021, there was only 7. Other highlights or lowlights, depending on your perspective, was that over in Kingman County, they had 4-inch hail. Last summer, there was a few days that were over 100. And then we also had a very cold snap in February of last year where it was not fun. We also had a wet year of overall averages, but there were extended periods of dry weather in between. Back in July, we had weather of 6 to 10 inches in some areas not too far from here. Emergency kits. Every household should be prepared with an emergency kit in case of severe weather. Here at Kidron Bethel, in addition to the generators, we have flashlights, blankets, spare food, water. But if we have an incident and you borrow or use the flashlights, make sure that they get back, or if you notice that they're missing, make sure you let somebody know so that we can replace them. It's important that the things that we have stockpiled are there when we need them, and if somebody borrows them and then they're not there when we need them, it gets to be a problem. Definitions for severe weather that you'll hear from the National Weather Service. Severe thunderstorms are defined as storms that are capable of producing hail that is 1 inch or larger with wind gusts over 58 miles an hour. Tornadoes are a violently rotating column of air that touches the ground, usually at the base of a thunderstorm. Hail is a form of precipitation that consists of solid ice that forms inside of a thunderstorm. Hail can damage aircraft, homes, and cars, and can be deadly. A flood is an overflow of water onto normally dry land. Flooding is a long-term event than flash flooding, and it may last several days or weeks. Flash floods is a flooding that occurs rapidly within 6 hours of rainfall, and it normally happens in low-lying or urban areas where drainage is poor. Flooding is the #1 killer of severe weather in the U.S. An advisory is issued when hazardous weather is occurring, imminent, or likely. Advisories are less serious conditions than warnings, but if caution is not exercised, it could lead to situations that may threaten life or property. A watch means that weather conditions are favorable for dangerous weather to occur, but it is not happening yet. A severe thunderstorm, tornado, or flash flood watch is in effect. Be vigilant and look for dangerous weather and maintain access to the latest information. It is possible when a severe thunderstorm, tornado, or flash flood can happen before a warning is issued. Warnings for severe thunderstorms, tornadoes, and flash floods means that the weather event is imminent or occurring in the warning area, and you should seek shelter immediately. The sirens will activate outdoors when a tornado warning is issued. A flood watch means that flooding is possible due to heavy rain, and most often there will be problems with on the road driving away from here. If a flood warning is issued, you need to contact our executive director, contact the on-call maintenance, and if flooding gets into our building, then maintenance will shut off all appropriate utilities. We need to make sure that we have a census that's accurate and make sure that people stay inside. Don't try to drive through high water. This map shows the flooding risks of our area, and as you can tell on our campus, it currently isn't in the floodplain, but just to the east of us, there's a couple of creeks that could potentially get up, and sometimes they do get over the roads to and from campus. Flooding can also be caused internally by a broken water line or sprinkler, or perhaps a leak in the roof. In this case, maintenance will shut off the water and try to isolate electrical circuits to eliminate electrical hazards. Gas may also need to be shut off. We will also be evacuating residents in the immediate impacted area, and then we'll start making repairs and clean up. For a severe weather or tornado watch, the primary point of contact is David Macbeth. The secondary is Jennifer Traglia. The command post is at the nurse's station, and the incident commander is the charge nurse. At the nurse's station is the Form 200. We need to have a separate document for both healthcare and assisted living. Try to keep track of your census. Ask your residents if they have to evacuate, what their preferences are. Limit the phones to emergencies and stay away from windows and doors. If bedfast residents are staying in the room, then move them as far away from the windows as possible. This is a copy of the incident action plan. It keeps track of the time and the start and what actions are created. Oftentimes, a watch will be issued during first shift, but the storm may not happen until second shift, and so this lets the staff that come on afterwards know what's already happened. It also has a list of all the staff in their positions and any other things that need to be addressed. We can also be using on shift, and this can be used to notify other staff or recall staff if they needed. If there's an incident that happens and you receive a text message, it may ask you to check in. It's important to go ahead and send a reply as the incident commander and other staff can read those to make sure that everybody's okay. Remember that staff and resident safety is the number one priority of any incident. We also need to make sure that we close all doors, windows, and drapes, pass out blankets and pillows to residents if they're staying in the rooms, unplug any unnecessary electrical equipment, move all of the staffing schedules, resident sign-out sheets into the medroom, be prepared to move other healthcare records into the therapy room or the bathing rooms in healthcare, move the assisted living residents into the bathing room of assisted living. And the incident commander is responsible to make sure that all these procedures are taking place. If a warning is issued, make sure that you remain calm, and the charge nurse will alert residents or the incident commander by using the PA overhead to the phones. And it's the all page of 4100. Residents of healthcare should have already determined where they want to evacuate. Their options are the classroom shelter, the pod areas, or stay in their rooms. If they stay in their rooms, they should be away from windows and in the bathrooms. And assisted living residents can go to their hallway storm shelters or stay in their rooms. And again, move your residents that are in their beds as far away from the windows as possible. Close the doors to the resident rooms. Make sure that the residents have a blanket and pillow. Close the fire doors to help prevent debris from flying up and down the hallways. You should have had your flashlights, and go ahead and move your medication carts, laptops, or other equipment into the bathing rooms and therapy rooms, and then to the bathing room of assisted living. And then remain with the residents until the all clear has been given. And here is a map of assisted living with the 2 storm shelters. And this is the pod area for the 3 hallways of healthcare. And then the storm shelter is located behind us here at Kidron Hall on the hallway. Once the National Weather Service has issued a cancellation of the warning, the charge nurse will announce all clear and return residents to their rooms or to their living areas. Then you can get all your equipment back out. It's also important to remember to call down to the arts and crafts room, as there may be some independent living residents that have decided to evacuate down there. Even though the warning is over, there still could be a watch in effect, so blinds and other things may still need to be drawn. If there's serious damage, the evacuation procedures may need to be followed. When it is necessary to evacuate healthcare, use the following goals. Remember, the number 1 goal is residents and staff safety, so do not evacuate into an area of danger. The incident commander is in charge to manage the evacuation. We need to make sure that we have an accurate accounting of staff, visitors, and residents. A staff member needs to stay with all evacuated residents at all times. Residents do have the right to evacuate, but not if the room is damaged. The incident commander will be determining the appropriate evacuation route. You may have to come to the classroom back here. It may also have to go to the community room of Kidron Inc. They may have to also evacuate to assisted living. There's various places on the campus that we may have to evacuate for if those buildings do not receive damage. The assisted living, or the incident commander, needs to make sure that they have assistance to help do the documentation paperwork. And at each nurse's station, there's a phase sheet packet that already has all the information for each resident in it. And so before we evacuate, we need to make sure that all that's with the resident to keep track. We also need to make sure that snacks and water are available. We have water that's stored in the storm shelters. And the other thing to keep in mind about the evacuation is that this is important why on an ongoing basis is that we don't store chairs, med carts, laundry carts, or other items in the hallways. Okay. Is there any questions that anybody has about our procedures? Okay, so we'll go over the quiz. It's number one is what regulation does CMS use to require nursing homes to be ready for all disasters? Yes, the Emergency Preparedness Rule. What is the number one purpose of the Emergency Operations Plan? Correct. To maintain a safe and secure environment for residents, staff, and visitors. Number three, when should the Emergency Operations Plan be enacted? It's anytime an event disrupts our normal standard of care. What management structure do we use when enacting the Emergency Operations Plan? Correct. The Nursing Home Incident Command System. What position in the NHICS management team is enacted for every Emergency Operations Plan incident? Correct. The Incident Commander. What severe weather event in the U.S. kills the most people annually? Flooding, correct. Who is the initial incident commander for severe thunderstorm or tornado watch? The charge nurse, correct. What form should be filled out for each emergency operation plan incident? The NHICS 200. If assisted living residents decide to evacuate for a thunderstorm or tornado warning, where should they go? Yep, to the assisted living storm shelter for each hall. What options do healthcare residents have to evacuate due to severe thunderstorm or tornado warning? Correct. The classroom, shelter, their neighborhood pod, or stay in the room. Who is responsible for the safety of our residents? Everyone. And what is the application used to notify staff of an incident at Kidron and allow staff to check in? On shift, correct. Okay, so if you could put your quizzes on the table and their pens back in the cups, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.